Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and I want to welcome everyone to a very special week, obviously, here in the United States. It is Thanksgiving week. We have Black Friday on Friday, Cyber Monday on Monday. Obviously, this particular week kicks off the holiday season, especially here in the US. This Thursday, obviously, there's not going to be a new episode of X Vlog Live because we're taking the day off, but there will be a breakfast with Boom, and we are going to have a ton of guests. A lot of people are off. A lot of people will be making their guest appearance, even whether it's for one topic or all three or four topics. But today, folks, we have a great show for you. Lots of news. Obviously, normally at this time of the year, it's usually very quiet. But we have had news drop after news drop, and we're here going to cover it for the next 90 minutes. We're going to start your week off in Xbox land or Speculation Town, wherever you like to hang out. But let's start with the introductions. Web Dave, you dropped a new video today. Talk about that, and good morning, or now, good afternoon.
Good morning, guys. Welcome. So awesome to be here with the great panel and these amazing people in the chat. I can see them already fired up and getting ready to jump on these awesome subjects we got. Yeah, great video dropped today from Game Pass Daily. Did a name change on me after the interview, but that's okay because he started making content every day. Retray. There we go. So anyway, it's up and it's good, but man, let's get into it. Boo. I'm ready.
Well, you know what? It's great to have you here, brother, and great to see that you're constantly doling out new interviews. Some of the best in the business. Some people you've never heard of, but all great content nonetheless. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Crazy Lou Gaming, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Oh man, I'm feeling pretty good. So happy to join you guys on this awesome week, man. I can't wait just to jump on what's going on in the gaming world because lately news has been a little bit slow, but we're hyped up about some subjects we're gonna talk about today. So yes, I'm ready to go, Mr. Boom.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you here. But definitely appreciate that. And last and no way least, the guy who raced through the streets to get here on time, Fuzzy Belvedere. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Been doing pretty good. What's up, everyone? Glad to be here, man. Just having fun over the weekend, playing a lot of different games, and as you can probably see, a lot of people out here are also addicted to Vampire Survivors. So, man, just great to be here. Can't wait to get into these topics. Let's do this.
Well, we're going to open up with one that is a bit silly, a little bit of a head scratcher, and it just makes you wonder, folks. This is one of those potential gifts that a rich person, and I mean, I'm not talking about, you're making six figures. I'm talking about you have six, seven, eight figures in the bank because this is a little bit ridiculous. It dropped over the weekend. There's a company, folks. Now, bear with me. I'm not being facetious or nasty. They're called Lovesack. That is the name of the company, and apparently they make like these beanbag chairs. Now, normally I'm not against Xbox teaming up with an expensive maker of these supposed fine products. Obviously, last week we talked about on multiple shows how Xbox was making it affordable for people to get into gaming by lowering the price of admission through the Xbox Series S at $249 in some locations and $239 in others. Well, this particular package, folks, is it's not ridiculous. It's redunculous. Um, okay, so what you get in this deal, it's only available at Best Buy. I believe they only made 100 of them, and for good reason. These Lovesack Xbox branded like bean bags. It's like a big giant ball that you kind of plop yourself into in your game. It also comes with the Xbox Series S, and it comes with 3 months of Xbox Game Pass. So the question is, what would this be worth to you? Well, folks, this is where we get into the ridiculous. Now, the ridiculousness of it all. You're probably not going to hear about this story on any other podcast, but that's why you come here, because you're always getting new news, sometimes funny like this. Well, currently, the Black Friday deal is $450 off. So you say to yourself, wait a second, Boom. If they're taking off $450, how much is this product? Well, after the savings, and I say that facetiously, the $450 savings, Web Dave, this Prime package that will hold you and snug you and cuddle you while you play your favorite Xbox game
Yes.
costs $1,350, and it's available for monthly payments of $56.25. Again, not my idea of marketing, especially now during these times. I actually think this is a big miss from Microsoft. I get it. You want to team up with different people. You know, they team up with people that make headphones. Remember about a year ago, they had those really, really expensive headphones that were like $1,000
Yep.
that were made specifically for Xbox. That went off, didn't go, very well. This over here, again, there's only 100 of them. The company is Lovesack. It's called the Lovesack Xbox Bundle. You can find this on bestbuy.com. I think, look, like I said, folks, messaging and marketing are the two important things. Sometimes Microsoft gets it perfectly. Sometimes they get it wrong. This particular thing, I mean, listen, they only made 100 of them. It is what it is. It's out there in the wild. I don't like it because the price is just ridiculous. $1,350 for a beanbag chair, a Series S console, and 3 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Now, the console and Game Pass Ultimate by its own is under $300, like right now. If you wait to Black Friday, it's probably going to cost you about $360 something, $260 something. So then you have to just put in your head. So wait a second. So if I minus 300, the beanbag chair is $1,000+. Not great. What are your thoughts?
Take my money, Boom.
Insert cash or select payment type.
Yeah. Oh man. Now, if Phil Spencer came and personally set up the system himself, then maybe. Don't do a spit take, Boom. I don't catch you with your mouth full of water. But yeah, no, that's a little crazy, little out there, but there's some eccentric people, or little Tommy's got to have that perfect gift, and he'll want that. And there are people that can afford it. Look, if you can afford it and you want to spend your money on something like that, by all means, that's fine. But we live basically in the real world. We're not quite as you're still saving up for a house. I have a mortgage. I just not gonna seem like a. I mean, it's a publicity thing. It's a little, it's a go-to thing. I mean, there'll probably be 2 or 3 of the people that influencers, that get these to talk about it, to bring it into, and that's cool.
I can see someone like iJustine
Yeah,
putting a video
exactly.
out for this. I can see someone
Justine and Snoop Dogg when they got the refrigerators,
Snoop
the
Dogg,
real
indeed.
ones.
Yeah.
The big ones, which are cool. Which now see that that was cool because that led to the availability now of the smaller refrigerators, which even have a newer, smaller model available now. And I've got one, you've got one. I mean, those are cool. They're neat to have, and they're affordable. They're, let's say, in my budget. Where this other thing is, it's a publicity thing. I would imagine Phil might get one, but then Phil can probably afford one. So.
Well, I mean, I would imagine Phil Spencer is making high 6 figures to run Microsoft Gaming. So
I would hope so.
He potentially could afford something like this. I'm going to be honest with you, folks. Even if I had the money sitting in the bank, I don't know if I could justify something like this. It's just one of those things. Not the biggest story. I thought it'd be fun to open up and talk about this.
Sure.
Crazy Lou, let's get your opinion on this. Again, this is it's one of those items. Actually, shout out to Why So Serious in the chat. He says, "Do you remember the Gucci Series X?" I do remember that, and that was just as ridiculous. Look, this package, and I'm being facetious with, because obviously it's Love Sack Gaming, was originally $1,800. Like, I mean, come on. At the end of the day, you're telling me that this beanbag chair is $1,500. This thing better massage everything and wake me up in the morning and make my coffee. I'm sorry. This is just lunacy. What are your thoughts,
everything.
Uh-oh, you're muted. You're muted. There you go. There you go.
Okay, I'm good. Okay. All right. Like I was saying though, it said it massages. I mean, I was thinking about that. I was like, is this gonna massage my whole body, probably my bottom or something? Because seriously,
nope. It's
$1,000.
It's literally a beanbag chair, brother. That's what it is.
I said it better come with air conditioning. I don't know. It better come with something special, because literally after I saw that, I went and looked for the best spot. I was like, okay, let me read the stats about it. It probably has like a special, like, keep it cool, while you game or something like that. It doesn't have anything. This is big old beanbag, and I was like, damn, that is expensive. At least you should have put in the Series X in there. Probably it could have been like, but still though, a beanbag. I mean, $1,000. Damn, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money just to sit down on a chair. That doesn't do nothing. Seriously, because like I said, if it massages your bottom, if it gives you like a little air conditioning, keeps you cool, then you might think about it, but still, it's still
dude, there's no heat, there's no cooling.
Nothing.
It's literally a beanbag chair that plants your ass in it and calls it a day. I'm sorry, brother. I have to say a big no. I don't. Again, I think that this is this going to hurt Xbox? It's not. It's silly. We're talking about it. It's fun. It's silly. I just think that when you are trying to send a message of value to potential new customers that don't know what an Xbox is and that might get one for the holiday, looking at this package, it does send the wrong message. And again, the two M's, I'm not a marketing major, folks. I don't have a degree. I have common sense. And one of the things covering gaming for as long as I've been covering gaming, the two things that Microsoft doesn't hit all the time is marketing and messaging, the two M's. Incredibly important. Crazily, when you're going to type, brother, just mute yourself because we could hear it.
Oh, I guess my microphone has got a thing with the settings. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Don't sweat it, dude. It's cool.
Okay.
Fuzzy, let's get your opinion on this. Again, this is laughable at best.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to sell. I don't know if there are thousands upon thousands of millionaires in the world that want to just buy their kids something to shut them up. This is potentially one of those things. Hey, listen, here's this beanbag with a console. What are your thoughts, dude?
Oh man, there are so many better things I could spend my money on as far as for the man cave or for the gaming space. It just for that kind of money, I think at that point I'd be better off sitting on a milk crate, have a 75-inch TV, and something along those lines. Like $1,500 for a beanbag. Like I grew up when beanbags were like, you get them at Walmart for $10 to $15, and then IKEA came around and it was like, oh, the college kids' dorm room beanbag. It's like $150, and even I thought that was like a little bit ridiculous back in the day. But $1,500, yeah. No, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I'm going to go to a furniture store and get me an actual leather sofa that's not bonded leather, the real stuff, or I'm going to go ahead and get me. Well, actually, I don't know if you can get an Eames chair for that amount of money, but even still, I would rather have an Eames chair for anywhere near that amount of money for gaming. No, I'm not spending $1,500 on a beanbag. I mean, and unless that thing has like a built-in massager and, like you said, gets up and makes you coffee in the morning, it has like a charging dock for your controllers and your headset, and it had all the cheat codes in the world. Yeah, even then, I'm not spending that money. No, sorry.
Cheat codes.
At least it has a pocket for you to put your controller in. I saw that. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah, if of all the
Boom, the
things
reason
they
you brought
could
this up
partner
is because
with,
Boom wants this for Christmas. We're all gonna pitch in.
That's my subtle hint. Hey, if you love me, buy
I'm gonna
Boom
start
the
a
$1,800
GoFundMe.
package. Yeah, no, thank you.
no, but I think there's some better furniture options that they could have, partnered with. Like I like my IKEA gaming chair. That's that mesh back one. That one's
Yeah.
fine. I mean, there's just so many, better seating arrangements out
A
there that would be
recliner?
like
Yeah,
a tenth the price.
it's more expensive than a gaming chair too. I mean, a good gaming chair costs like
Let me
600
tell you
bucks.
something. I saw currently Alienware laptops with a 3070 that were cheaper than this freaking thing.
Oh my God.
Like, I mean, come on, folks. Let's be for real.
Yeah.
Listen, again, not the biggest story. One for fun to open it up, to kind of get everybody loose and relaxed. We got over 185 people here already. Please hit the like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. The first super chat of the day comes the way of Drawn TJ, generous friend of the program. He says, "Good morning, guys. Embracer is holding Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal for Microsoft to buy after the ABK deal is done." I actually don't think they're holding them for Microsoft. I think what has happened with Embracer, we talked about this last week, is that they might have overinvested in 2022 with the idea or the ideology that some of the games that they were releasing this year were going to hit. And some of this, like for instance, they obviously own the studio that brought us Borderlands, and Tiny Tina overproduced for them. They didn't expect it to sell as many as it did, and it really sold. But everything else that they did put out there, specifically like Saints Row, it didn't hit. And I don't know why that is. I played it, I enjoyed it. I just never went back to it, and I can't say why. I don't know if it was because of the Starbucks-esque characters that they had there. I don't know if that was what did it for me or didn't. Maybe I'll come around to it, but I prefer the older Saints Row, and it did hit for them. And I think what Drawn TJ is saying here is there is a possibility that at some point, because they put this out there because they had their public earnings call, that they might look to rework some of the studios that they have, potentially even, and that may come the way of a sale. So right now, those two studios, suspiciously enough, are working on two of Microsoft's returning OG IPs in Fable and Perfect Dark. That's pretty big news when you consider that they're using third-party studios to help them finish their games, and Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal. Let's call a spade here, folks. Both of those development houses are legit good. So I'm very excited to see what they bring to the table with these two older IPs that are going to have a coming out party in a couple of years. But we shall see. It'd be interesting if they, again, I've said this before and I will say it again. When those two studios were sold along with all those IPs, it broke my heart, because I think that those IPs could have and should have been Xbox owned along with these two studios. Could you imagine if Microsoft was in charge or had ownership of Tomb Raider, pick any one of their franchises. Think about that for a second. They would have had Soul Reaver. They would have had Deus Ex. I mean, there's just so many there's so many IP that they would have walked away with, and for $300 million, my God, that's in Phil Spencer's couch. Like, he sits down and just pops and it's hanging out over there. He shakes the couch out, and here's $300 million. You know what I'm saying? So it's, I hope that what Drawn TJ is saying comes to fruition, because I do want to see those two studios continue work on these rebooted IPs. But the only time is going to tell. Let's move on to another topic here, folks. This one is interesting. This one is very interesting because it comes the way of Special Nick. Special Nick, obviously, if you don't know who he is one of the co-hosts of the Xbox Era podcast. Um, he put out a tweet, folks, that really went under the radar. No one really picked up on it. The minute I saw it, I sent it to the guys that you see on your screens right now, and I said I got to write a topic about this because I've been banging this drum forever. This is what Special Nick had to say. He says, "Oh bugger, oh bugger it." Been told there's been a studio signed to make the new or reboot Ninja Gaiden, and it's Platinum Games. Now look, I've heard that Ninja Gaiden was coming back. I heard 2 or 3 years ago from a source that at this point has not delivered because on this particular rumor because this was marinating. And sometimes when you hear stuff in advance, it doesn't come to fruition for sometimes years. This is one of them. Ninja Gaiden is being rebooted. The question is who? And now we know that it's Platinum Games. What's interesting here is that supposedly the team that brought us Bayonetta 3, which is a certifiable banger for the Nintendo Switch, is the same team that's going to reboot the Ninja Gaiden franchise. Now, Platinum Games, they're a great studio, but they have I think that in recent years, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, they've had more misses than they've had hits. So I'm a little nervous about this one. Obviously, I did pull a story and I sent it to the guys. Let me see if I could find it real quick. Yeah, here it is. VideoGamesChronicles.com. Andy Robinson wrote this article. This is after Special Nick had put this out there. So I whoever had the information first, they put it out there. But according to the actual article, it says Team Ninja has reportedly confirmed plans to reboot both Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive in the future. And of course, this comes the way of a translation of a talk the developers president held in South Korea over the weekend during the G-Star conference. That's that's Korea's biggest gaming show of the year, and it came up that in fact they are rebooting Ninja Gaiden. Now, I don't know about you folks, but I know that when I personally think of Ninja Gaiden, I don't actually think about the NES Ninja Gaidens 1, 2, and 3 for the NES. I don't think about those. I think about Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden Black that were at some point an exclusive to the Xbox, the OG Xbox. So when I think of Ninja Gaiden, I think of Xbox. Web Dave, I want to go to you first on this. One of the things that Microsoft, if you were to say that they're lacking, if you were to say that there's something that they're missing from their portfolio, there are 3 types of genres that have not been addressed. They will be addressed at some point, but they haven't as of this show. One of which is family-friendly games. I've been banging the drum for Banjo-Kazooie for as long as I can come. I could talk about it. Hopefully, at some point, we do get a revival. Fighting games. They own an IP in Killer Instinct. A Maximilian Dude a couple of years ago did the Bring Back KI hashtag, and it exploded on the scene. Phil Spencer has talked about it. Matt Booty has talked about it. Their issue is they don't have a developer to make it because the 2 original developers, one is now defunct, doesn't even exist anymore, and the second one to pick it up when Amazon bought the first developer is now making their own free-to-play games, so we don't know if they're available. So those 2 particular genres are kind of hanging out in the wind. But there's another genre that is going to come back in the form of Fable. He's going to come back in the form of Hellblade 2. That is the third-person action-adventure genre. Now, considering that Microsoft has an outstanding relationship with Team Ninja, they have. I still think that the bridges are not all burned. What happened with Playground Games and Xbox with the Dragon game that went to the left. My question to you simply, Dave, is should Microsoft potentially go out of their way to maybe lock this up as an exclusive, the same way that Sony locked up a game coming from Team Ninja, which we saw a couple of months ago? Listen, I think that Ninja Gaiden deserves to be rebooted, but I mean, me being kind of selfish here, I'd love to see that as an exclusive or a day and date drop into Game Pass. What are your thoughts?
I would love to see it as a timed exclusive for sure. I don't know that it would be, something that it needs to be permanent, but day and date would be great. 6 months, 1 year timed exclusive. Why not? I mean, it's been enough going the other way. It'd be nice to see it, but I don't necessarily see it as something that needs to be, you know, let's just take it over altogether and never be on another system. I don't like when Sony does it, so I wouldn't really want Microsoft to do it, if that makes sense. But a timed exclusive and definitely something in Game Pass, even if that's all they could get, a Game Pass day and date would be a big win. And several people in the chat, Don Itaku made a really good point, that Platinum has had more hits than misses, but you can't deny they have had a few misses. So, I guess it just depends on the team and the game. But some of the games that hit, oh man, they are absolutely amazing. I mean, some of the ones that are the hit games are great. I love them. But like I said, there's one or two, including the one that they had done for Sony, that was like, wow, that was bad. So bad that they shut it down. So
Yeah, that game had, I think, like on the second or third day, like maybe 6 people playing it. It was pretty bad. It was
Yeah.
pretty bad. Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
Babylon's Fall? Was it Babylon's
Yeah.
Fall?
Babylon's
Yeah.
Fall.
And I was
yeah,
actually looking
yeah.
forward to try it, but as soon as all those reviews and everything came out, I was like, no, I don't think so. I don't even think. But like I said, like Don Otaku said in the chat, they have more hits than misses. So I would definitely, I would think, I would hope that they would really put a good effort into it, since it is a really big franchise. It's really something that it would really make them look really bad if they screwed that up. You know what I mean? They need to put the effort into it, like they did the Bayonetta and stuff. It's something that
Yeah.
they really need to, it needs to have that kind of care and respect done to it. But yeah, if they do, then that would be great. And then as far as Microsoft having it, I would love for them to at least do day and date exclusive if it was timed. I wouldn't want it to be. I don't see the need for it to be, more than 6 months, more than a year exclusive.
Yeah, no. I listen. At this point, I said this before, and I will say it again. The exclusive for Microsoft isn't necessarily the game; it's the fact that it's in Game Pass. That
Yep.
is ultimately the exclusive. Real quick, let me catch up on some of the super chats. Been quite a few of them. Sith Lord, who's been a member of the channel for 6 months, drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Sorry, Boom, no more super chats. I have to pay for the Xbox Beanbag chair. LOL." Black Sausage in the chat. Welcome back, my friend. He says, this after being generous and dropping a $5 super chats. Hope everyone is doing well today. Oh my goodness, he was snowed in near the Buffalo area this weekend, and good for you, brother. He got 1,200 out of 1,200 gamer score on Vampire Survivors. Good for you, dude. I don't know how many achievement points I actually have, but I have quite a few. Good. First of all, I'm jealous because Mrs. Boom and I love the snow, and we didn't get nothing over here in New Rochelle. So congratulations on wow, 1,000 out 1,200 out of 1,200. That is awesome. Don Otaku, first of all, Don, welcome back, brother. He says this after dropping a very generous $10 super chat, and I was laughing because he says you guys don't know anything about Lovesack. They're not a beanbag chair. They're actually popular and more comfortable than most gaming office chairs. That price is cheaper than normal y'all reaching. Look, it's an opinion, brother. I appreciate yours. I don't think that chair is worth $1,800. I think that it's insulting that they say you can save $450 today if you buy it, and it's still almost $1,400. I get it, brother. If they're that comfortable and Lovesac is a good company, good on them. I just think that personally, it sends a wrong message in a time where money is a hardship for a lot of people. I'm glad they only made 100 of it. This is gonna go like dust in the wind. You're gonna hear about
It's
it
a
from
gimmick.
this. Yeah, it's a gimmick. I suppose it's to get Microsoft's name in people's mouths. I listen. If they're comfortable chairs, then so be it. I wouldn't buy one even if I was that rich. That's just me. But again, subjective. It is an opinion. Drawn TJ drops an additional and very generous $20 super chat, and he says,
His last one, by the way.
What's that?
It's his last one, by the way.
Oh yes, that's right, because obviously he's got to pay for the beanbags. He says this after dropping a very generous $20 super chat. I'll say this: Microsoft could just keep making partnering deals with the studios they're working with, and they should go and buy Sega and all of WB and be done with it. That's my opinion. What do you guys think? The WB thing. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. Right now, it's all hands on deck to get ABK done. I think once ABK gets done, and it looks like it's going to probably be about the 3rd or 4th month, maybe even the 5th month of next year, maybe May, before it's all said and done. This deal is going to take as long as the Fox Disney deal did, because it is a big deal, literally. I don't think you're going to see much from Microsoft in regards to picking anything up next year. I think if we do see a publisher, that would probably be announced maybe in the following year, maybe the opening of 2024. If I were a betting man, I think there's a lesson to be that has been learned here by Microsoft. The way that they do their business, where they partner, like TJ is saying, that they'll partner with an Asobo, they'll partner with not a Machine Games because they own Machine Games, but like an Avalanche Studios or an IOI on Project Dragon. On paper, folks, that's awesome. It sounds really good. Microsoft have all these, but I think that there is a lesson to be learned here. And again, I can't speak inside baseball because I don't know, but I can guarantee you that if someone wanted to sit down and have a conversation, this ABK deal, as great as it's going to be financially for Microsoft at the back end of the deal, really painted themselves into a corner where they could not move on anything else. Like they really were pigeonholed here. I can almost guarantee you that if they had not announced this deal, all of those IP and Eidos Montreal and Crystal D, they would be first party. IO would be owned by Xbox. Asobo would potentially be owned. They probably would have announced 5 or 6 studio acquisitions if it wasn't for ABK. Now, ABK, I think, is a bigger deal than a lot of these smaller ones. But if I'm a betting kind of a guy, I think that we see more of these smaller acquisitions where you won't need regulatory eyes on to get stuff done. But Crazy Lou, let's get your opinion on Ninja Gaiden. It's a classic IP. Team Ninja, they used to do it really well. Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 were fantastic. 3 not so much. The one with the zombies after one's even worse. I'd love to see it revived, but where did your confidence go when you say Platinum Games is going to be responsible for bringing this to light?
Oh man. I mean, Platinum Games lately has been doing a hit and miss, So it worries me a little bit. I mean, I know they do good games. They have done great games. I mean, look at that Bayonetta 3 has been a good hit. They're doing really well with that Bayonetta 3. People who are playing it, they say they love it, enjoying it, and yeah. But I don't know. I'm worried about that. When I read that, I was like, I don't know. It has been a little bit worried because I mean, I don't want nothing to happen to Ninja Gaiden with Platinum Games because really they're hit and miss. But I wonder. But it still gives me the curiosity though on how they would do it. Would it be like the same way it was on Xbox, or would it be a lot more intense and a lot more better? That's something that has me curious.
I think that if I were guessing, I would imagine that it might have similar looks to like Wulong that is coming into Xbox Game Pass, that is releasing on multiple. It's a bit multiplat, but it is Game Pass day and date. There is a potential, but if you remember how the camera angle and how Ninja Gaiden worked, it was very up close and personal when
Mhm.
you fought. It wasn't as like as because if you look at like Wulong, for instance, which is great. I played the demo. I got to the last boss. It was awesome. The camera's very much pulled back. Where
Mhm.
if you remember Ninja Gaiden, the camera was very was kind of over the shoulder, very close.
Ninja Gaiden didn't it feel like Devil May Cry, didn't it? The way
Yeah,
it
for
felt,
sure.
yeah, yeah, that's the way it felt. That's the way it felt. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious. I'm curious on how they're gonna make it. Really, I really want to see how they're gonna do it, and I just hope they really do a good job. You know, we don't want another Babylon Fall coming along. No way.
Yeah, again, it's sometimes they hit out of the park. Sometimes it's a big old whiff, and the bat's going down towards first base. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
hope that's not the case. They are they're a great studio when they get it right, but when they get it wrong, it's bad.
Oof. And yeah, and I agree with you. They should drop it in Game Pass Day One all the
I,
way.
I would I
Since
would like to see Microsoft make more of those third party deals. This game obviously is going to come out until Jesus 2024 at the earliest. I don't even think
yeah,
then at this point I see this game coming out in 2025. You have to look at the forecast for
mm,
Microsoft at that point.
they
Are
started.
they releasing um bangers once every quarter? Is Game Pass at 50 million, 75 million, 100 million in 2025? It's really going to be about how they dole out the content. I do think that you're going to see that once Game Pass gets rolling, they're going to, I mean, as much as great as Game Pass is right now and as many games as we've had this year, like this year to me is an A.
Mhm.
If you want to, shoot yourself in the, if you want to shoot differently and suggest that maybe it's a B plus because there weren't any real big Microsoft first party, I wouldn't argue with you. But for me, this year has been an A. There's just been so many games, and they've all been very high quality stuff. We're going to specifically talk about AAA games, and there was a tweet yesterday that I thought was really interesting, where they put these four particular games that are like indie titles that are exclusive to Xbox, and somehow there was a subset of the community were dumping on them because they weren't of the same ilk as God of War. We're going to talk about that. Every one of the games that are going to be on this list that we're going to talk about tomorrow on the Xbox Factor podcast are certifiable bangers, as the kids like to say. So we'll get into that further. But good stuff as always. Fuzzy, let's get your opinion on this, brother.
Mhm.
Ninja Gaiden, which again, when you think about it, at least when I think about it, I think Xbox. So
Yeah.
I would love to see Xbox either lock this up as an exclusive, because I'm sorry, exclusive content is still important to the system,
Mhm.
especially when it's someone like Ninja Gaiden, or at minimum get it into Game Pass. But the question is, how much faith do you have in Platinum to deliver?
Good question. Platinum has like a spotty pass as far as like it seems like kind of like what you guys had touched on before, where it's a hit or miss kind of thing. They seem to hit a lot better when it comes to things that they put on either PlayStation or Nintendo. Like Nintendo, I think they have like a flawless record. PlayStation, it's kind of like they're like a 3 out of 4 kind of deal. But when it comes to Xbox, it just seems like unless it's something that eventually comes to Xbox down the road, I don't think they've had a game that's done it tremendously well as a launch on Xbox type of title. But Platinum having the shot at it, sure. But I would say the minute that they start falling behind and releasing other games, kind of like during the whole Scalebound deal, where it
Mm-hmm.
seemed like Xbox was paying for their productiveness on other games as opposed to the actual game that they paid for. The minute that happens, cut ties, go public on it. I don't know. That'd be kind of petty to do that. But yeah, I personally, I don't have the trust that Platinum in its current state, because it seemed like they're under pressure in that last game didn't hit quite like it should have, being that they're under pressure now. Bayonetta 3 doing a good bit better, but then again, it's on Nintendo, and they don't seem to miss on Nintendo. So it's I I almost wish that they weren't the ones that were handling it, as opposed to the devs that are doing Wolong or Ronin or something along those lines for Team Ninja. So I think that would have been a better fit. But then again, I guess if it comes down to production, since Team Ninja is working on Ronin and is
Which, by the way, looks astoundingly great.
yes. So I would have, if it was that the main team working on it as opposed to being handed off to Platinum, I would say, yeah, Xbox, Phil, get on that phone, lock that game down as soon as you can, and just reap the rewards later on down the road. But yeah, with Platinum doing it, it's like I would just soon say do a coin flip, because like I said, their track record with Xbox is spotty, but they seem to do well with other platforms. So it could be a hit or a miss, and my theory is it'll probably be more of a miss, just because. Well, it'll only be a miss if Xbox allows it on the platform, but if it somehow gets money hatted, then it'll be a hit. I don't know how that exactly works, but it just seems like that's the pattern.
Yeah, hit one, hit two, fail on one, fail on two, then hit again. I'd like to see them keep hitting, especially when you consider Ryu, Hayabusa. He obviously is. Like I said, there are certain characters, folks, that transcend generations. Mario, Kratos, Master Chief, Sam Fisher, Ninja Gaiden. Ryu is one of them for sure. The fact that he hasn't had a good game, or the series hasn't had a quality AAA game in what seemed like decades, is a shame. I'm hoping that seeing Platinum Games hit on Bayonetta, potentially going to hit on Ronin, which looks phenomenal. Hopefully they can bring their talent to something as deserving as Ninja Gaiden. Now, we do have some breaking news here, thanks to Crazy Lou Gaming, and of course, this comes the way of the NewYorkTimes.com. Richard Hogue put out something that on November 11th, which was last week, or what is it, 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago.
Yeah, we'll super chat about that too.
Yeah, I'm gonna, again, it's advertised. We're gonna talk about Fallout, and I think the show might go a little bit longer because of this breaking news. And we're probably gonna cover this more on Wednesday evenings, primetime gaming, because this is something you can't just cover with a couple of sentences. I have to read about this, but this is what Richard Hogue, who was on last Thursday's X Vlog Live with King David, and he dropped some incredible nuggets. If you missed that, definitely get over there and check that out. According to Hogue Law, he says Microsoft said that on November 11th, it offered Sony a 10-year deal to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony declined to comment on the offer. Now, of course, folks, this comes the way of the NewYorkTimes.com, and their lead title for this says, "Can big tech get bigger? Microsoft presses governments to say yes." Microsoft's $69 billion deal for Activision Blizzard, which is undergoing review in 16 countries, has become a test for whether tech giants can buy companies amid the backlash. Obviously, this is, again, folks, I have to read the whole article, so I'm shooting from the hip here. I'm obviously going to try and check out Hogue Law's video before Wednesday. This is a big deal. Now, we do have some quotes here from Brad Smith, who is the Microsoft's president when it comes to their legal aspect. He said if this deal happened 4 years ago, it would hardly be of any interest. And he said this in an interview. He goes, but if one cannot do something easy, then we'll all know you can't do something hard. Look, that's again. I'm gonna refrain from reading any further because, like I said, the New York Times is dense at points, and I do want to see what other publications are saying, and I will of course shout them out if I use their material. Web Dave, let's go to it. Let's talk about it.
Mhm.
Apparently, Sony, who has been a little bit loose lips recently, if you remember the whole rigmarole about it not being adequate enough for PlayStation, when the original extension of 3 years was offered, we've seen Sony talk about the inadequacy of these deals that Microsoft has been offering. We've heard a tremendous amount of back and forth, ladies and gentlemen, about this deal. Sony is the only one complaining. We've heard 2K say they don't have a problem with it. Many of the other big tech companies they don't have a problem with it. Many other publishers and developers do not have a problem with this deal. All we know right now is that on November 11th, they offered a 10-year deal. I don't know how better of a deal you can actually offer to Sony, because at some point it's your property. You're going to want to do with it what you want to do with it. And also we have to take into account that Microsoft shouldn't be bound to putting out a Call of Duty every year if they don't want to. What if they want these developers to make something else? We have heard that Treyarch and Infinity Ward are working on open world space first person shooters.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, Call of Duty is going to have to take a knee. Now, Warzone is going to be there. That's their moneymaker. It's if people like to play Warzone. I don't really care for it. I downloaded it. I don't even know why. I wasted 150 gigs of my space because that's how big the freaking thing is. Now we have this report. What are your thoughts on a 10-year deal being offered?
Whoops, I hit the wrong button there. I want to say that also thanks to Andy B. Drumming for the $10 super chat for you.
Yes, we'll get to him. Thank you, Andy. Appreciate that very much.
Breaking news, Microsoft said that November 11th offering Sony a 10-year deal keeping Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony declined to comment on the offer. And probably why they're not talking about it is Sony wants the regulators to give them some kind of concession that prevents Microsoft from doing day and date on
they're not
Game
going
Pass.
they're good luck on trying that.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But I mean, I think that's why they're keeping mum right now, is they're like, let's just see how it plays out. But that offer is a good offer if that's the case. If they offered them 10 years, because Microsoft, like you said, they make a lot of money off of that game being on PlayStation. They would be stupid not to do that. But what Microsoft wants to do, once those other contractual deals are up, is they want to get it on Game Pass day and date. They want their product to be in their ecosystem where it does the most good for them, because it's going to be their game owned by that company. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Right? I mean, it's just, it makes sense that's where you'd want it to be. With them, dragging their heels, holding their, trying to hold the Microsoft to this unreal standards is it's crazy. Like you said, it's not going to happen, because at some point Microsoft is going to be like, all right, cool. Let's see where the dust falls. Let's see where the final decisions are made. And when they come out, and if they do try and go against Microsoft to the point to where it's like these ridiculous restrictions, then Microsoft is going to countersue, and they will win easily.
Yeah, again, I do want you to elaborate on this a bit, Dave, because you do have a really keen sense of what these deals actually mean in normal speaking jargon. What I mean by this is The deal would be blocked if somehow this would be a detriment to consumers.
Right.
I want you to kind of just elaborate on that specifically, because there is something to be said that some of these regulators seem to have Sony's best interest ahead of the consumer. And at the end of the day, Microsoft is making gaming more affordable for consumers by offering them Game Pass, which is a streaming service, the same as what Sony offers. The only difference is Sony offers old games and Microsoft offers day and date new games. Now, we did see Stray jumping to their service, which was a new game day and date, which was awesome. They need to do more of that. Please elaborate.
Yeah, they the whole the regulation, the whole reason why the ABK deal has to be looked at by all these different entities is that it is to protect the consumers from a monopoly and or a something that'll become harmful to their access of said products. And this is what they're supposed to be looking at, and that's basically all they're really supposed to be looking at, is to protect the consumer.
Yep.
Now, the protection that that Microsoft has given them, we're going to put this on our competing platforms. They even want to go into a system, being Nintendo, that doesn't even have this game on it yet, and they're like, we even want to put it there because it's good for the consumer, it's good for them to have it done that way. But the regulators, the ones that are talking out of their hat, which they really shouldn't have opened their mouth about a lot of things, and it's gotten pretty muddy and messy, is because they seem to be looking out for Sony's interest. Well, Sony doesn't have to be the market leader forever. Sorry, they weren't at one time before. And so if Microsoft, God forbid, someday became the market leader, I'm okay with that. Sony may not like it, but then again, Microsoft doesn't like that they're not in first place now. So if you're doing everything by the book, up and up, like you're supposed to, why not? They should have a chance at it just like anybody else. And after this is all said and done, they may just be able to scrape into number 2 or maybe stay at number 3, but in a better leverage position higher up the food chain. Because right now they're way down as far as compared to what Sony makes, in gaming. So if they even the playing field, make it more fair for them, it's the right thing to do. And there really isn't. And like I said, I'll die on a hill. When this is all said and done, this deal is going through, and there's really nothing that's going to stop it. A lot of the hooey and a lot of this other stuff is grandstanding. There's a lot of fanboy speculation, which gets me fired up, which gets you fired up, which gets them fired up. And it's like, oh, you just want it to be over and be done. And hopefully within the next 3 to 6 months, it's going to be completed to where we can move on. And then the board's going to say to Phil, who's next?
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, I'm sorry that I'm not welcoming everyone. Like I have 15 DMs that have just popped up. Everyone that is anyone. I appreciate all of you sending me this. Windows Central, Jez Corden just did a story on this.
Nice.
We have a statement from Jim Ryan. I'm trying to process all this information live on the air for you.
Sure.
This is it's going to be very interesting because once again, I'm going to read a statement, and like I said, we're going to be breaking this down for the remainder of the week. I didn't expect this to happen today. Yeah. This is the Thanksgiving week. I'm going to go first to Crazy Lou. This is bonkers because this is a sign of Jim Ryan's desperation to see and I was actually going to reserve to say this until Wednesday's show, but obviously we got to talk about it here. See, the problem isn't Call of Duty, folks. See, Jim Ryan is a POS, and I say that with absolute disrespect because it is what it is. He doesn't care about gamers. He doesn't care about his PlayStation gamers. He cares about money. He cares about his investors. Okay, that's what he does, and I get it. That's his job. But at the end of the day, when you're lying through your teeth, you are making a mockery of not only yourself, your company, but the whole gaming populace. Listen to what he actually had to say, and I'm going to pull this up. And this comes the way of Everborn Saga. He put this out there. In a statement, Jim Ryan, the chief executive of Sony Interactive Entertainment, said, now this comes the way of course. Let me pull this up. Hold on. Why is it not coming up here? I have too many tablets open. Okay, just a second. Let me just see if I could close this out and open this up again. Hold on just a second, folks, because this is big. I have to read what Microsoft hold on a sec. Here we go.
Thanks for
Okay.
jumping on this, Boom. I appreciate it.
Yeah, here it is, right
awesome.
here. Mr. Spencer, Phil Spencer, said that maintaining, growing the existing Call of Duty business is pretty central to the economics of the deal. And this was the response from Jim Ryan, folks. And this is where I call bullshit. I'm sorry. In a statement, Jim Ryan, the chief executive officer of Sony Interactive Entertainment, said that wasn't true, that his company had been misled by regulators. He said that Microsoft was a tech giant with a long history of dominating the industry, and that it's highly likely that the choices gamers have today will disappear if this deal goes through. Holy
What?
shit, ladies and gentlemen. And
Bullshit.
I
What?
absolutely call bullshit, because
That is the
if
biggest.
listen, take it away, Crazy Lou. Take it away.
That is just the biggest bullshit I've ever heard in my life. Oh my God, that is insane. I mean, here's something I was gonna ask Web Dave. What when he finished though, because while these two companies are battling it out, if you did not see this year's revenue, who got the most was Tencent. I mean, Tencent is getting bigger by the minute.
Sure they are. Absolutely.
They're getting bigger by the minute. They don't have a console. They don't have nothing. And they do have a cloud out there. And they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger by the minute. I mean, I don't know why Sony's focusing so much on this deal when they got that competition right next door to them. Because, I mean, Tencent
Well, because
Sony
and Tencent are rubbing elbows together. That's why they don't have a problem with it.
Okay. Until until Tencent gets big and becomes number one, then that's going to be a problem for Sony, though, wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. So yeah, but that's bullshit what Jim Ryan was saying right there. Because seriously, you have your own thing. You guys have your own thing, and you guys are market leaders. You guys have one of the best platforms out there. I mean, seriously, you're charging people $70. You're charging people $550 for the VR. You're charging people for expensive stuff, and people are buying it from you without saying no, it's too expensive or nothing. People are just spending money over there. And if you have done that, you have reached a goal. Because I mean, let's look at Nintendo, right? Nintendo is the most expensive console there is out there. Why do I say it's expensive? Because I mean, Nintendo, the console is cheap, right? But the games, their exclusives never lower the price, and they sell a lot. So yes, I mean, seriously, why you come out here and say this to Microsoft when you've been market leaders and doing such an awesome job with it? I mean, seriously, it's like you're affecting your own company right now, and you're sounding like you're the bad guy right now too by not letting this deal go through. It's insane.
Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, there are a lot of people in this many circles that we all run in that believe that this deal is going to go through, and the only concession is going to be that Call of Duty is going to stay on PlayStation. Again, I don't think the word ever could be used in business. I don't think that you're going to see any of these regulation or regulators, I should say, tell Microsoft how they have to put this into someone else's service. I don't think that's going to happen. They usually frown against doing that because you can't tell someone how to run their business. If Microsoft has already said, if you want Call of Duty day and date, then Game Pass could be on your. And Sony said, no, we don't want Game Pass. So they were given the opportunity to do that, and they do have their own streaming service, and that's what's interesting. You don't put your own first-party software on their day and date. How dare you ask us to put ours on your service? I think that's preposterous to even suggest such a thing. Look, at the end of the day, folks, this is breaking news. You would imagine that Double Barrel Gaming, along with everyone on this panel who does live content, who does interviews and things, are going to be talking about this. This is big news. I did not expect this kind of news to happen on a manic Monday, a week where people are going to be on vacation. This is big news. This is going to have monster ramifications. I think that the more you hear from Sony, you realize how nefarious they are. They want to remain the market leader. They want market share to be only Sony. What they're asking for and what they're suggesting of Microsoft is exactly what they have been doing for 20 plus years as the current market leader. It is preposterous at best. But Fuzzy, let's get your opinion on this, brother. Jim Ryan, once again, lying out of his teeth.
Can I say one more thing before?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
But here's the funny thing, though, is last week, Phil, I think it was last week, Phil was in an interview, and he literally said that it's gonna get the same Minecraft treatment.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's gonna get the same Minecraft treatment. And they said what PlayStation's available, it's always gonna be available. So they're giving you a 10-year contract. They're pretty much saying, okay, after that 10 year goes by, we can renegotiate, no problem. That's what he said in that interview. I mean, that's what I understood in that interview, you know, that while PlayStation still exists, it's going to be there no matter what. But like he said also, there's no contract that says you're going to have it forever. No, that does not exist.
No,
that
doesn't.
doesn't exist. He did say that too. So insane.
Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous. Fuzzy, let's get your opinion on this. Again, Jim Ryan, once again, I've said this before. You would imagine that the current Sony contract is to 2024. After that, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, even if this deal was blocked, and it's not going to be blocked, folks, there's nothing illegal. It's not changing the market. It's not a dictatorship. Microsoft isn't going to become market leader overnight. People are still going to play Call of Duty on PlayStation. That's not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
The question I have for you is, do you think the more that Jim Ryan comes out and says these things, do you think he's painting himself in the corner with the industry at large? Because at some point, yes, they're the market leader now, but they might not always be. And they're going to have to answer for this.
I think they will eventually have to answer for this, but they can't worry about the down the road. They have to worry about the immediate. And I think his higher ups, his bosses, are telling him to worry about the immediate, and they'll navigate their way, down the road. If Microsoft should become the market leader because they're releasing their AAA, exclusives on a regular cadence, and they're getting great rave reviews on a lot of those games, and the mind share starts to tilt towards their favor, then I think that's when the higher ups above Jim will say something different. But I think in the meantime, they're worried about having another breakout release of like Call of Duty, where they're pulling in nearly $1 billion within the first 10 days type of deal. Like they are probably the ones that got the bigger chunk of that money, other than Activision directly itself. Mm-hmm. They probably benefited the most with their 30% cut on all of those copies that sold. So I think right now they're just trying to either maintain or hold on to as much of that as they can for as long as they can. And a 10-year deal is above and beyond what is standard practice.
It's never been done in gaming, as far as I know, dude.
No, and I think it goes to show that when Phil and Satya were like, "Yeah, we just want to treat it like Minecraft." I think this is as close as you can get to a guarantee. I mean, anything above and beyond a few years, in my opinion, is crazy. But the fact that they're willing to go with a 10-year goes to show that they're going to stick to their word. One, and two, we'll see what things look like 10 years from now. But if consoles are no longer the primary source of gaming, it's now streaming, as because people didn't think digital was going to be as big as it is today, and people didn't think that 4K TVs were going to be as widely owned as they were let's say 10 years ago. I don't even think people thought of 4K TVs. So the landscape can totally change in the 10-year period. But it just goes to show that Microsoft is committed to having it on both platforms or all platforms in general. I mean, they're
Including
talking about
Switch
putting
at
on
some
Switch.
point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I think we can see who's being upfront right now. Microsoft wants to earn that money anywhere they can on that title. Now, other titles within Activision Blizzard, that's going to be on a case by case basis, much like they said with, Bethesda. I'm pretty sure a lot of them will be exclusive, and some of those that have always been multi-platform will probably continue. But I think they're more focused on King as far as getting into the mobile space. I mean, we already heard them talk about doing that mobile store. So if they're going to have a mobile store that competes with, iOS or the the App Store or, the Google Play, I think they need to have a strong mobile presence, and King will hopefully get them to that point. I mean, it's already a juggernaut in the mobile space as is, and then to have some of the IPs that they have in the mobile space, like Call of Duty on mobile, is huge. Although that I think is a partnership type of thing, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it all comes down to Jim Ryan is definitely burning some bridges. I think he's being told by his higher ups to do so. And I think as long as those higher ups are still paying him well, I don't think he really cares, because at this point he could probably retire for all he's earned PlayStation. So I don't think he's really worried about those burned bridges. But PlayStation as a whole, I think in the long term, it's probably going to be a different market space when developers look at, oh, well, the market share that Xbox has is either equal to or slightly greater than, PlayStation in this region or in the region that we're focused on, which would, probably be the US or something along those lines. So
Yep.
you may not see a lot of those easily money hatted deals or strong arm deals where they don't necessarily have the money hat, but hey, we're both in Japan and, you're going to help us out, right? Instead of the invaders or however they want to refer to us. But yeah, it definitely sucks in the sense that they're going to continue to be greedy and try to spin this narrative that Microsoft is the same Microsoft of the 90s. I mean, they haven't been like that since what's his name stepped down years ago or decades ago now. But it is what it is. I'm pretty sure it'll be seen for what it is, at least with the FTC, but the CMA and the EU, I don't know. Maybe they got some free PlayStation 5s when Jim flew out there. So
Hey, Boom.
we'll see.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to say that the whole talk about the 10-year extension or kind that they've offered to them, that is, just to be clear, it is so that the game appears on PlayStation, but it's not an extension of their contract
marketing
that's
rights.
existing.
Right.
Marketing rights in 2 years, 24, whatever, 27, whatever, they're going to end. And when those are done, that's what Sony is absolutely crying about more than anything. They want those marketing rights to extend, and they're not going to extend.
Yeah,
no way.
That original offer of 3 year, bringing it to 2027, did not include marketing rights. The marketing rights are going to end in 2024. See, that's you see, and I meant to say that earlier. I got sidetracked with all this news.
Oh yeah.
The problem, Dave. The problem, chat, and we have over 300 people here. The issue is not as easy as just it being Call of Duty. The problem is that Sony wants to retain the focus of it being on PlayStation. Like you ask people now, they're like, "Oh, Call of Duty's PlayStation." They don't want to lose that. Well, you know what? That's too bad. You don't have $70 billion to invest. They don't even have half that to invest. I'm sorry, they just don't. They're not a $1 trillion company. Yes, they're a $1 billion company, but the PlayStation division is the only place that they're making money. I mean, for crying out loud, we heard last week that they might want to sell off Sony Pictures. For crying out loud.
And you know what else, too, Boom? If they were talking about this, like the 10-year deal, and Sony hasn't responded to it yet, right? They haven't made they've declined to comment about it. And if it comes down to it, I mean, Phil said, he's offered it. It's there if they want it. But, do you think that Sony might actually at some point to try and make some kind of point might say, well,
They'll say that's not big. It's not good enough. I wouldn't be
Right.
surprised.
and then if it doesn't show up, who's going to be blamed? They'll be like, well, Microsoft kept it off. No, they didn't.
No, I agree. And you know something, this 10-year deal that we're going to be talking about for the remainder of the week before and up until the Thanksgiving holiday might be the canary in the coal mine. Now, what do I mean by that? I think that Microsoft ultimately knew that Call of Duty was going to stay on PlayStation as long as there's a PlayStation to put it on. I don't think that the exclusivity that many of the fanboys on both sides thought was going to happen or not happen. I think what ultimately this does is really I actually think it puts more pressure on Sony than it does Microsoft, because how does Sony deny a 10-year deal? How do they go to regulators and say, wait a second, this 10-year deal that's never been done in gaming history or in business history for that matter is not good enough for us. We want more. Because then at that point they're going to look like assholes. Sorry, I don't mean to curse, but that's what they're going to look like. And I'm going to be covering this at some point for the remainder of the week on my other shows. If you want to be a part of those shows, Breakfast with Boom is going to be Friday. We are having a very special post-Thanksgiving special. We're going to have a lot of people rotating in and out. We're going to potentially have as many as 10 panel members because a lot of people are off. So we're going to have a ton of people there. But Tuesday's Xbox Factor podcast, we're going to be talking about this. And Wednesday evenings, Primetime Gaming, I'm going to see if I can reach out to Hargeet Chani, who's been a regular there in the last couple of weeks. I cannot wait to get his personal takes on this. We have a big guest coming up. I don't want to say who it is. He has confirmed who it is. We're going to be talking about it next week on who's going to be the big guest for not this Wednesday, the following Wednesday's Primetime Gaming. He's huge. He's huge. He's a big get for the channel. Been talking to him back and forth for quite some time. And I'm glad that we finally, our schedule was finally aligned, if you will. But listen, let me catch up some of the super chats, and we're going to get to the last topic, which of course is one I advertise the most, and that is something that what Josh Sawyer, director of Pentiment, had to say about returning to the Fallout series. And folks, I'm excited, but Smitty Smith, who's been a member of the channel for 32 months, he says this, brother: Lovesack sounds like an adult movie, The Book of X. Indeed it does. Thank you so much for that, brother, and thank you for the outstanding support. Gerald Mack, who's been a channel member for 14 months, says, shout out to Double Barrel Gaming. Salute Mr. Boomstick and the esteemed panel. Great to see everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for you being in the chat. And thank you for the kind words. And Andy B. Drumming, thank you so much for being here, brother. But also thank you for the generosity and dropping this breaking news. He says Microsoft said on November 11th they offered Sony a 10-year deal to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony declined to comment on that offer. I mean, folks, listen, if they continue, like I said, I think that this was a bit of bait, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think at some point they're going to have to, if they say no to a 10-year deal, they're going to look like boobs. No doubt about that. But listen, folks, I do want to get on to the last topic, the one that was originally advertised. Listen, Josh Sawyer. He is obviously someone that holds a tremendous amount of weight over at Obsidian Entertainment. He just dropped his quote-unquote passion project. It is a small single-A developed game called Pentiment. It is an Xbox Game Pass right now. It is currently one of the games that it was getting 10s right alongside Vampire Survivors as well as God of War. Pretty interesting in the same month that we get these types of games, these types of genres, all from different A's, all from big and small teams, all getting 10s. That, folks, is incredibly impressive. But listen, we're here to talk about Fallout. Now, Fallout 5, as it's been called, is something that is years, and I mean years away. About a month ago, Jez Corden and Randall Thor, friends of this program, were talking about it on the Xbox 2 podcast, and they said, when you consider that next year we're getting Starfield, and in a couple of years after that, probably 2, 3, 4, maybe, we don't know, you're going to get the new Elder Scrolls. At what point, folks, do we expect Fallout 5? I don't know. Is that 2032, 2033? It's too long not to have a new Fallout. Now, granted, Fallout 76 is a free-to-play game. It is out there. It is constantly getting updates. It is constantly evolving. But most people want a Fallout game that you can do what you normally do in Fallout, and that is sit on your couch, create a character, and just go across the land finding NPCs and different side missions and new characters to interact with. Well, if it's going to be Bethesda doing it, folks, we're not going to see that game for another 7 to 10 years, and that's ridiculous. And why is that important? Because, look, as much as I love the Bethesda created Fallouts, for me, the GOAT is Fallout New Vegas. By far, probably one of my favorite Fallouts of all time. That was done by Obsidian. That was written by Josh Sawyer. Well, last week, on the Kind of Funny Games cast with Greg Miller and that crazy crew, Josh Sawyer sat down and he had some things that really interested me, but I think broke the internet, so to speak. And here are some of those comments from Josh Sawyer, and then we're going to break it down. He says this: I love Fallout. I love the setting. I could see myself working on it again, but we'll see where the future takes me. He also goes on to say, I'm not really sure, and this is coming off of a question. He says Sawyer was also asked what his dream setting for the new series might actually be. He says, I'm not really sure. I haven't thought about it in quite a while because, again, it kind of came into my life and then floated away. In the past, I've said, people have talked about New Orleans, or I think California or the Midwest would be very interesting. I'm a big believer in finding things that obviously I have to be passionate about as a director, but I'm also that the team is really excited about, and also that works within the larger idea of the property. He also goes on to say 2 more paragraphs, and I'll give it off to, of course, the panel. Working on something like Pentiment, which is just its own thing in the middle of nowhere, I can kind of make decisions more or less however I want. But when it's a part of a larger IP and a franchise, it has to kind of work within a larger vision. What is Fallout? I don't get to decide everything about that. It's not my thing. He also finally says, so yeah, I think there's a lot of cool places in the US. A lot of people have also talked about Fallout in other parts of the world. I think that those are interesting as well. I don't know. I think there's a lot of cool opportunities. It really depends on what the moment is and what the team looks like. To me, that basically says that if we're asked to do Fallout, we're going to do Fallout. First of all, do you think, and again, this is just my personal opinion, the hit and the critical acclaim that Pentiment is getting, do you think that kind of gives him carte blanche to potentially work on the next Fallout, Dave?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Fallout New Vegas, was amazing, and all the other work that they've done on that franchise. So I definitely think that, I mean, I have not played Pentiment yet. I am planning on playing it over the weekend. So over the holiday weekend, I should say, coming up. But but I'm a big fan of Fallout for sure. And I mean, the team we know can do it, and they are familiar with it, and with their success in the past. seems like it would definitely be something that they should, you know, be able to do and to jump on with ease. You know, they've done it right in the past, and I think that they can do it right again. And plus, that also frees up Bethesda to do other things that they're working on. Um, I don't know, and maybe it'll be some kind of collab. Well, some of the guys from their team will work with them. Some people will work that, which would be cool too. I definitely think that there is enough great franchises out there. I mean, like you said, there's things that you want and all of us want, like Banjo Kazooie and things like that that haven't had the treatment yet, that have kind of fallen between the cracks, and hopefully those are going to be rectified at some point. But this is another franchise that you just don't want it to get too far away from you. You don't want it to get too far out of the mindset, because it is an amazing game, amazing franchise. Like they said, there's that moment when people step out the vault and it's like, wow, and where'd that come from? Well, that came out from the Fallout game. So, that's one of those. I think they could do it, and I hope they're given the opportunity to do something like that. And it may take a while for it to come out, for sure, but that's one of those games that, especially with the modern technology that they have now, that they have not even tapped into the system resources that they can put into place, that man, a new version of a game like that's next gen only, not go back and forth with the old gen, I think could really set a new bar. So
I agree. I think you're onto something with that, and I think that you're onto something also with the fact that you can't allow an IP to just go by the wayside. If the IP is not hitting, then yes, you walk away from it and potentially come back a decade later. But Fallout is not one of those IPs that you can just leave on the side or sitting on the bench. He's definitely the Fallout franchise is definitely one of your star players when you talk about Bethesda. I think it would be pretty epic if we could get a New Vegas 2, or where it fans out. It goes from Vegas to California, or it goes from California to Colorado, or somewhere around that area where you started, where they open up the story with what happened in New Vegas, and then they move on to another area. You know what I'm saying? With some returning characters. It'd be very interesting. But real quick, Elemental P.O. First of all, happy birthday, dude. He turned 45 today. He also has been a channel member for 6+ months and dropped a $5 super chat and says, happy Monday, Boom and panel. It's also a special day for me. I just hit 45 years old. Congratulations, brother. Happy to share it with you and this fine podcast. Well, thank you so much, brother. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for the generosity. And once again, happy birthday. We have Jericho, who drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, Obsidian has just as much on their plate as Bethesda. Yeah, they sure do. They have Avowed and OW2, so maybe even larger weight for an Obsidian Fallout. Yeah, they are doing a lot at Obsidian. At some point, you're probably going to have to staff up. I don't know. I mean, that's a great point. If it's not going to be Obsidian and it's not going to be Bethesda, I don't know if I want anyone else making a Fallout, to be honest with you. But we'll see. Crazy Lou Gaming. What has Josh Sawyer pretty much written his own path to glory with this Pentiment hit? Because I think that if Pentiment doesn't hit, people are like, oh, maybe he's lost a step. But that's not what the people are saying. This game is getting 10s for good reason, because of his writing and why, what he brings to the team as the leader of whatever they're working on. Can you see this being like, hey, what do you want to work on next? And he says Fallout.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna tell you something. I have never played Fallout Vegas. I never played it. It's on my list to play because I keep hearing good things about it. Everybody keeps on telling me that's such a good game, such a good game. I want to play it. I have not yet tried Pentiment, but I'm gonna say something though. Getting all those 10s in that game, the type of game it is, it's hard. And I'm happy that it actually dropped in Game Pass and people actually sat down and played the game and enjoyed it. because it's good to know that this person, does pretty good writing on games, and that people actually enjoy what the content he puts out. So once I play Pentiment, once I try the Fallout New Vegas, and man, I'll give my thoughts on it. But yeah, I can imagine that if in the future, since he's that good, I mean seriously, that if he gets another chance to work on Fallout, yes, give it a go. I hope they do give him that chance, and I hope they do give Obsidian that chance, because again, people keep on telling me the best Fallout is New Vegas, and that's what Obsidian made. So yes, they should get another chance on it.
I
Another chance.
agree. Yeah, I agree. I actually think that I think that his status at Obsidian already gives him the carte blanche to what he want to work on. But I think that and we know Phil Spencer, we know how he does his business, especially with Microsoft Game Studios. He allows his developers to develop what they want. That he does that because what it normally does is when the team is enthralled or excited to work on an IP, the outcome is expected to be better than you could imagine, because the team is excited to work on it. He doesn't want to tell people what to work on. I know some people disagree with that kind of ideology. I agree with it. I think that there are enough IPs for Microsoft to work on. Again, do I want a Banjo-Kazooie? Yes. Do I want a Killer Instinct? Sure. But I definitely want a new Fallout, and I don't feel like waiting 10 years to get it, especially a proper single-player Fallout. Finally, Fuzzy, let's get your opinion on this, brother. What are your thoughts on this? Has Josh Sawyer's hit in Pentiment pretty much now giving him carte blanche to work on what he wants?
I think it definitely gives him a lot more leverage. I don't know if it gives him carte blanche just yet, because I think Obsidian as a whole, they still have a lot of things on their plate. I could totally see him kind of like what Dave was saying earlier, like a collaboration type of deal. I think since Fallout is kind of passed through the hands of Obsidian and Exile to some extent, and Bethesda all these years, I think a triplicate or trio of the teams can definitely pull something together within a shorter period of time. Have it where it's a smaller experience than, like, let's say a true Fallout 5, something in the vein kind of like a Fallout New Vegas, where maybe it's in California, like Fallout Rancho, but somewhere in California anyway. But no, I think him being able to receive the critical acclaim that he has with Pentiment, I think it definitely opens up the door for future passion projects. And if one of those passion projects just happens to be in the Fallout universe, I hope they definitely give him the time and resources and greenlight it, and see where we go from there. But I think it's definitely a worthwhile venture. Like you said, it's going to be 10 years probably before Bethesda, the A team, has enough time to dive into the Fallout world again. I think Elder Scrolls is big, and we're hearing some rumblings in the background that like Bethesda Online is working on something. I kind of assumed it'll probably be like an online version of Starfield, but it appears it may not be anything even remotely close to any other previous IPs that they've worked on. So it's hey, I would say, hopefully, fingers crossed, he's got the keys to future passion projects, and let's just hope he wants to do something in the Fallout universe, and Todd Howard gives him the blessing or the approval, and they can go from there.
I like what you're putting down, brother. I think this has been a great show. I definitely agree with you right there. I think that there is something to be said about potentially seeing these three. Could you? I mean, listen, look. It took 8 studios to make Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, right? 8 studios. Could you imagine? First of all, there are 2 things to think about. One, what this would do to social media, what it would do for the game's overall excitement. If it was announced that Obsidian, Bethesda, and oh my God, I lost the chain of thought. What was it? What was the third? Yes, In Exile were collaborating on the next Fallout. That would be unbelievable, because every one of those developers at some point have touched Fallout. to see them all come together, because actually that actually makes a lot of sense when you consider how much each studio is doing. They could take some people or staff up if you want in all three in all three houses, and create a team specifically to work on this new Fallout. That would be big news. That would be monster news. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for your 90 minutes, your new Xbox lunch break special. We just happen to have breaking news today. Of course, like I said, I'm going to be covering it for the remainder of the week. I am going to see if I can get Hogue Law at some point to pop on to give us his opinion on this, because this is big news. And like I said, I'm very interested. You know, a lot of the other panels I have, there are some folks in there that do own their own businesses. So I'm interested to get their takes, specifically like Everborn Saga. I'm interested to get his take on what if Sony declines a 10-year deal. What does that actually look like? They didn't comment as of right now, so maybe they're trying to figure out whether or not that's the best case scenario for them. But we will be covering it, folks. If you want to hear more of my opinion and the rest of the opinion of the panels I have out there, tune in tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the new episode of course, the Xbox Factor podcast. We are then going to be meeting for primetime gaming at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Wednesday evening, and then we're taking a day off, and then Friday morning, folks, we're probably going to be talking about this and other potential breaking news on Friday morning's Breakfast with Boom. That goes live 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I think I'm one of the few shows that actually is only taking off Thursday. If you want to check those shows out, subscribe to Double Barrel Gaming. Hit the like button before you get out of here. But let's get into the outros. Web Dave, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for your absolutely hot take insight. Talk about where they can subscribe to your YouTube channel. Check out the new interview you dropped today. And more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media while Twitter still exists?
Yeah, no worries. I think there was a couple of super chats you might want to read there at the end. Didn't you want to get to those?
Oh yes, Highlander 001 drops, who's been a channel member for 2 months, drops a $5 super chat and says Microsoft made more than fair deal. Sony better hope Phil is in the forgiving mood. Guest CEO might replace Jim Ryan. I mean, listen, depending on who you ask, Jim Ryan is actually doing a fine job, because he's getting this deal done so that Call of Duty doesn't leave PlayStation. I do think at the end of the day, though, Sony is really painting themselves into the corner of the industry, because it looks like, and we have heard this, folks, it's either Sony's way or the highway. And I think that people are getting tired of that. I think they're being tired of being bullied by the market leader, and maybe it's time for a change. We'll see. Please continue, Dave.
Oh, there was 2 more super chats above that too. I don't know if you saw those.
No, I got Jericho and I got Elemental PO.
Did you?
Yeah, I got.
Where was I? I must have been in another world.
I appreciate it.
Sorry, long day, I guess. I'm here, man, and I appreciate everybody. And but yeah, the episode is available now. The new one with Game Pass daily.
Nice.
It's a pretty good episode.
One.
He's a fascinating cat, and he really gets into a lot of his mission that he's decided to take on is to make sure that everybody knows about all things Game Pass as they come up and as they go in and out, and it does makes it easier than he's kind of his own little helps advertise for the service, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I'm sure we'll talk to everybody on here, the panel before then, and but I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and everything. So there you go. Fuzzy, love you, man. Crazy Lou, you're so crazy.
We appreciate you being here, Dave. Appreciate what
man.
you do for the shows, not only on Mondays but on Fridays as well, and what you do behind the scenes for a lot of the artwork. It comes the way of you with your talent, so I definitely appreciate that. Crazy Lou Gaming, sell your brand, brother. Talk about the Xbox International podcast, where they can subscribe to that, and more importantly, check you out on social media?
Oh, you guys can find me at Twitter at Crazy Louis Gaming. Well, it still exists because we still don't know what the heck is going on. I still don't know what the heck is going on Twitter, but yes, well, it still exists. I'm always out there saying good morning and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. You can also find me here with you guys at 12 p.m. every single Monday, hanging out with you here at Xbox Lunch Break Special. Yep. And last but not least, this week, because Thanksgiving is up. We won't be doing any XBI this week. So yes, you can find me at Xbox International, 7 p.m. Wednesdays with Sour Blow, Silent Cypher, and the Big Plume. And guys, happy Thanksgiving to you all, because I know we don't celebrate that here, but happy Thanksgiving to you all. And to the chat, like always, you guys are awesome, and happy Thanksgiving to you all too.
Appreciate that very much for the well wishes, and of course, we look forward to you guys coming back the following week to drop. I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about, and this is one of those bones that you see the dogs gnaw on. They just won't let go. This ABK deal just constantly will not go away. I honestly, I'm not sick and tired of talking about it because it is gaming news. I just can't wait for this to get done. And I'm really looking forward to the regulators actually passing this with little to no concessions, because the deal is not illegal. Microsoft isn't going to be a monopoly. They're not taking Call of Duty away from PlayStation. In fact, they're putting it on more platforms because guess what? Their investors love money, just like everyone else. And the more money their investors make, the more happier they're going to be. So I think that Jim Ryan and that those bunch of knuckleheads at Sony are grasping at straws at this point. But again, we will cover it for the remainder of the week. The sound turnups, as whoever's playing vampire mode in the stream, going god mode. Yeah, that's actually me, and I can't stop playing this game. This is actually not even one of my best builds. This is an okay build. I got builds that just the screen is like constantly so crazy you don't know where to put your eyes. So thank you for that. But listen, Fuzzy Belvedere, brother, sell your brand, brother. You're gonna be back on Friday morning with us on the special edition of Breakfast with Boom. But where could people subscribe to your incredible YouTube channel dedicated to the racing genre, but more importantly, reach out to you on social media?
Oh, just awesome being on here with you guys. Had so much fun. Thank you for having me. Thanks to everyone in the chat that came to join us live, and those who'll catch us on replay later. Greatly appreciate you guys coming out. For anybody that wants to hear my crazy thoughts or rambles on anything gaming related, just follow me on Twitter. I forget the other one, but Hive is the new one as well.
Hive is well. First of all, Mastodon is disgusting. It's so confusing. It seems so bare bones. I didn't even know how to make a post, for crying out loud. But Hive apparently seems to be the one that everyone is talking about. I'll give it the old college effort, but I just crossed 10.5 thousand people following me on Twitter. I'm not trying to restart that, so I think I'm going to stay here. Hopefully, there's still something that to hang my hat on.
Yeah, I'm going to stay here as well. It's just or stay with Twitter, but figure I can't get enough of posting Forza Horizon 5 and Gran Turismo 6. So I'm just basically search for Fuzzy Belvedere or anything Forza or Gran Turismo related. You'll probably find me. And same thing goes for YouTube, Fuzzy_Belvedere. But
nice.
Man, thank you guys so much. Look forward to seeing you guys here back on this channel on Friday morning on Breakfast with Boom. And have a happy and safe Thanksgiving for those
Absolutely,
who celebrate.
brother. Felix in the chat says Mastodon lost me at step 1. So I'm glad I'm not the only old man here in the room. I appreciate that, Felix. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the outstanding super chats. Thank you so much for supporting Double Barrel Gaming, both monetarily as well as hitting those thumbs up button and subscribing. It's because of you that we continue to put out this incredible content, and that there is when we need new equipment, we pay for it. That's thanks to the super chats, and of course those come in and those will allow us to do the big giveaways. And there's a big one coming, Christmas, the third week in. It's going to be our 5th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. BoomStick. We're giving away $1,000 in 2 hours. That's pretty crazy. I haven't seen any other shows do that. And if the shows are doing it, they are in the 100,000 of subscribers. We're just a pinch under 12. And we do it because we love the community and we appreciate what you guys and gals do for us. So we must pay it forward. But of course, I'm going to close out the show with something, folks, that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special.